Good evening, everyone, and welcome to News for You Live as we bring you the very latest from Israel and Gaza. Day 5 of the truce, and of course, we are expecting more hostages to be released and returned back to Israel. It's been a busy day. There's been reports of some fighting, some clashes, some injuries. We're going to have a look into that. I've not had a look at the very latest just yet, so we're going to do that in real time and find out exactly what is happening. Feel free to like and share the video if you're watching on YouTube or Twitch. Good evening to you. Send us your comments and your thoughts as well. And of course, we'll do our best to answer any questions that you may have. So we'll get underway in a couple of seconds. I think at the minute the live stream is showing the Rafah border crossing cam, so we'll flick that on. Give me a couple of minutes, we'll pull up all the latest information and find out exactly what is happening. And just a quick correction already, it'll do this often tonight. Current live stream is showing just outside the Ofer prison in Israel, which is the place where the prisoners get released from back to Hamas as part of the deal. Just bear with me a couple of moments and then we'll get things rolling and find out some updates. Take any questions that you've got, any thoughts on the latest from today, and find out exactly where we stand. It's what's already quite late in Israel as well. So good evening, if you just joined me, video at the minute is from Ofer prison in Israel. All very quiet at the minute. This is the place, of course, that the prisoners, as part of the agreement that was broken by Qatar, the United States, of course. And we're into day number 5 of it today. This is the prison where many of the prisoners have been released from back to Hamas as part of this deal in return for hostages that Hamas are currently holding after the attacks on October 7. So welcome to News for You Live. If it's the first time that you've been in the stream, welcome aboard. You're all welcome to send in your opinions, your thoughts, any questions that you may have as well. They're all welcome. Send them in. Please respect other people's views. We always like to say that. Very important that we listen to everyone. There's no right or wrong opinions, as I just spot a mistake in the heading. Let me get that changed. 5H, it says here, should be 5th day. Day 5, 5th group is what it should say. Sorry about that. We'll get there. It's been a long day. But all very quiet outside the prison at the minute. Let's have a look at the BBC website, catch up with the latest news from there. The 25 to 6 tonight, fuel truck stopped from reaching northern Gaza, say charity. The Palestinian Red Crescent has tweeted to say that Israeli forces prevented a fuel truck, part of a convoy of humanitarian aid, from crossing into north of the Gaza Strip. The fuel truck was travelling with 31 others carrying food, water and relief supplies. During the temporary ceasefire, aid groups have said that supplies have been able to reach the north of the enclave where access had previously been denied. But that more is needed. It calls again today for more trucks to be allowed through. And the IDF today have confirmed deaths of 3 soldiers killed on the 7th of October. In the last few hours, 3 Israeli soldiers missing since the 7th of October attacks have been confirmed dead by the Israeli Defense Forces. In notices online about them being killed, the IDF names the 3 as Staff Sergeant Tomer Yaakov Ahimas, aged 20, Sergeant Kirill Brodsky, and 19 years old, and Sergeant Sakded Dahan, also 19 years old. No further information is given about how the 3 died, other than they have been kidnapped by a terrorist organisation, and their date of death being listed as the 7th of October. Under IDF policy for killed soldiers, all 3 men were promoted by 1 rank upon their deaths. And if you want to see the photos of the soldiers, they're available via the BBC website, BBC News website. Let me bring you this story up. Bear with me 1 second. I'd like to show you this. Hang on 1 moment. Okay, let's show you this then from the BBC website, just as we flick through some of the latest news. Underground hallways and... Put my headphones back in here. Underground hallways and meagre food. Details emerge of hostage conditions. Small groups of hostages emerged from captivity. We're starting to learn more about the conditions in which they were held. There are descriptions of crowded underground hallways, of rooms with little electricity, and hostages denied pens in case they tried to communicate covertly among themselves. The girls would sometimes cry. It was difficult. 78-year-old Ruthie Munda told Israel's Channel 13. We slept on benches without a mattress. We covered ourselves with a sheet. The boys slept under the benches on the ground because we wanted them next to us. Food varied, Ruthie Munda said. She received chicken and rice at first, with tea twice a day, but others spoke of a meagre, dwindling diet of canned hummus, bitter bread and salty cheese. Towards the end, some hostages said they received just 2 slices of bread a day. And those involved in looking after the children who have been freed say they are noticing all sorts of effects. A resident of kibbutz, the 2 released girls were still speaking in whispers after weeks of being told to keep their voices down by the captors. Noisy cars. And the picture quality will start to lose a little bit now the lights fade in. This picture just outside, in fact this is Rafah Crossing, it's switched from the Opa prison to be the view from outside the Rafah Crossing. Picture quality is never great here, especially at night time. It tends to get worse as well, but we'll do his best with what we've got. And there's a story earlier that says Israel says that Hamas handed a baby and his brother to another group. What we've been hearing is that many of the hostages have been sort of split amongst different groups across Gaza. And this seems to be what's happened here. I'll read you the story again that's on the BBC website. As we wait for news of today's Israeli hostages set to be released, we have a bit more information on one of the families still being held captive, the Bibas family. A mum, dad and two young boys who were kidnapped on the 7th of October. Israeli government spokesman Ilon Levy mentioned the family in his daily news update earlier, saying Hamas told them it no longer has the two boys. Wow. 10-month-olds. I'll do my best. It'll be Kiefer, Bibas and his 4-year-old brother Ariel. Hamas is saying that it does not hold them and has passed them on to another Islamist faction. And this is what I mean. There's various Islamist factions inside the Gaza Strip. Some of them actually have got a far more broader view on Israel in terms of negatively. As much as Hamas hate Israel, some of these splinter groups, some of these factions inside Gaza have also got a much stronger opinion as well. Levy didn't say whether their parents remained with Hamas or had been transferred with their children. Hamas has previously said it is not holding all of the captives, which could complicate efforts to free the most vulnerable. And good evening to the Sniper Elite. Thank you for the message. So latest, this was around about 4:30 today, which would have been around about 6:30 in Israel and Gaza. As of then, they were still waiting to hear about today's expected release of more Israeli hostages in exchange for Palestinians freed from Israeli prisons. Earlier, Israel said it received a list of hostages to be freed today and that their families were being notified. Israel has not said how many will be released, but a Hamas official told the BBC that 10 will be freed on Tuesday, another 10 on Wednesday. Hamas source also said that not all civilian hostages are in Hamas hands, with some being held by smaller groups such as Palestinian Islamic Jihad, which could complicate the rescue process. Meanwhile, the Israeli military says a number of its soldiers were lightly injured after explosive devices were detonated and the troops shot at in northern Gaza. Hamas also said there had been a clash in northern Gaza, but it said it had been due to Israel and reiterated that they were committed to the truce. Today, of course, is the 5th day of the temporary ceasefire. Qatari official earlier said Doha was focused on further extending the ceasefire. There's been more talk today about the potential extension of the truce, extension of the deal, and I think Israel will probably be quite likely to keep extending it just as long as Hamas keep releasing the hostages. Main priority, of course, for Israel is to get these hostages back to Israel, but of course they have said, you know, even if Hamas release all the hostages today, the fight against Hamas will still resume the day after. But I think different countries, I think Americans, I think Qatar and many others are really trying to, you know, make this a really extended ceasefire. Ultimate goal, of course, is to find peace, whether that's a two-state solution. No one really knows how it's going to be done at the minute, and no one really knows what Benjamin Netanyahu you know, policy is in terms of, is it really to wipe out Hamas? Can you wipe out an ideology? No one really has got the answer, but, you know, Netanyahu, he visited Gaza yesterday and reiterated once again that once the truce ends, the fighting will continue. And the aim is still, again, to wipe out Hamas. Aid workers are continuing to try and distribute aid across Gaza. The ceasefire has meant that about 200 lorries carrying humanitarian aid a day have been able to get in. I'll read that again. Aid workers are continuing to try and distribute aid across Gaza. The ceasefire has meant that about 200 lorries carrying humanitarian aid a day has been able to get in, up from an average of about 45 a day in the weeks following the outbreak of the war. However, aid agencies say much more is needed. Okay, I think we've gone back probably far enough. Haiti Justice, hey there, do we have a list of names of hostages that will be released tonight? I've not seen one. I know that the list has been handed over to Israel, but I don't think it's been made public yet. Generally what they'll do is hang on to that list until the hostages are back inside Israel, and then they'll release the names and tends to be the pictures as well. So they'll put the pictures out. They did that yesterday. But they tend not to do it, and probably rightly so as well, because anything could happen between now and when they're back in Israel. So they'll hang on to that list until the hostages are back inside Israel, and then they put the photos out, the names, and generally the ages as well. But I will have a look just to make sure nothing's been released already. But thank you for your message, Justice. And if you've liked and subscribed, thank you as well. If not, please do so. More people get to find the channel as well. We cover this, we cover all different news stories as well, and everyone's free and you know, welcome to share their thoughts and views on exactly what's going on about any story that we cover. Of course, at the minute, the story that we're looking at is the ongoing situation in Israel. I think it's so interesting actually to try and work out what is going to happen moving forward. Since October the 7th, when that attack took place, it's been interesting to see how different countries' support to Israel has really started to wane as the pressure's mounted for a ceasefire. You know, America came out initially with that big stance of saying they've got every right to retaliate, you know, they must retaliate, it's the right thing to do. As time's moved on, you've had Biden and, you know, the American Congress speak more about peace. And it's really difficult to know exactly where different countries' stance on it, you know, is at the minute, and how much pressure's actually been put on Netanyahu to extend this deal. I just says thank you, but I've been wondering how they get the families over to the hospitals if they don't release the names by now. Let me read that again. Thank you, but I've been wondering how they get the families over to the hospitals if they don't release names by now. Well, sorry, I may have misunderstood your question. I thought you meant have they released the list publicly on social media for us to see. They haven't done that, but what they will do is, and what they have done is contact, once they get the names of the families that are going to be released, once Hamas provide Israel with that list, they'll then contact the families and advise them of it. So the families will know, we won't know, and we won't know until the hostages are back inside Israel. But the families will know. That's what's been happening up until now anyway. And I've not heard anything different that states it. But let's check in with the IDF and make sure that they've not posted anything in terms of any latest update that says it. Generally, the IDF posts about the hostages, but it's a lot later than some of the really good sources inside Israel. So we'll have a look through. Again, as I'm catching up with everything tonight, it's been quite slow in terms of what's happened through today. So let's have a look and find out what's been happening now. What's happening now? I mean, of course, there are still so many hostages that are still inside Hamas. What surprised me, I think, with this deal is the amount of hostages that are being returned compared to how many prisoners are being returned back to Hamas. It's a big number of prisoners that Israel are releasing back to Hamas compared to the amount of hostages that Israel are getting back. Of course, the main thing is to get the hostages back, but it's still a lot of prisoners that are being returned. It's quite an interestingly structured deal. There's a report from the Gaza report on X, 17 minutes ago, reports that many angry residents are blocking main roads in Khan Yunis and preventing the access of the Red Cross vehicles from reaching the handover points. That is interesting. That could go away, go some way of sort of explaining why this seems to be quite late tonight. Read that again. Reports that many angry residents are blocking main roads in Khan Yunis and preventing the access of the Red Cross vehicles from reaching the handover points. I'll retweet that. If you want to follow us on Twitter, it is @News4U Live. And please do so. It'd be good to have you. No problem, Justice. Again, it's an educated guess. I'm not saying it's 100% the answer, but that has been what's been happening, you know, prior to today. And I see nothing that said that it's changed. Thank you for the question. And good to have you as well. Thank you for being here, and enjoy the coverage. Right, let's have a look at some of the sources inside Israel and see what they're finding as well. Interested to hear more about the story from the Gaza report. Michael Horowitz has retweeted that as well, which makes me think it's got some kind of credence behind it. Michael Horowitz is a very good person. He's a very good analyst, very good journalist. Have a look what Michael Horowitz has posted. So this was 6 minutes ago. A Palestinian official familiar with truce talks tells Reuters that Hamas has begun handing over Israeli hostages to ICRC. So that was 6 minutes ago. But again, that sort of ties into what we've just been hearing regarding the civilians. A Palestinian official familiar with truce talks tells Reuters that Hamas has begun handing over Israeli hostages to the ICRC. And again, there was a post around 15 minutes ago, a Hamas convoy transporting hostages arriving in southern Gaza. Let's see if we can show you that. So this is apparently a Hamas convoy transporting hostages arriving in southern Gaza. And there is plenty of people on the streets. Definitely plenty of people out on the street. Fairly busy at Rafah crossing still with the trucks coming through. A steady increase every day, of course, of the amount of trucks that have been allowed through the crossing. You know, it's really interesting because for weeks and weeks we've been really used to watching. You know, we've seen the streams, we've seen the bombs landing right the way across Gaza. We've seen, you know, the Israeli troops enter the hospital, and it just seems for days and days we just watch constant bombardment of positions, of enemy positions, Israeli enemy positions in Hamas, in Gaza, of Hamas positions. That makes sense? I got there at the end. And it'll just be really strange. And where we've gone now from seeing the truce to seeing the hostages handed over to seeing the footage of this, to then sort of reverting back to seeing Israel sort of restart the campaign again. I just can't imagine being at that point. But that's where Israel is saying that we're going to get to again, which fascinating, really. Justice, where do you stand on the issue of one hostage for 3 prisoners? Also, who's protecting the Red Cross with the hostages as they leave Gaza? I think that's a good question. 2 good questions. I'll answer the second one first. Who is protecting the Red Cross with the hostages? I think generally the Red Cross will have some broad agreement with Hamas and Israel that they're not going to come under any threat. Of course, and you're right. What no one can control is what we've seen on that on the footage that I showed of the civilians. No one can control what the civilians are going to do. So, you know, potentially the Red Cross are definitely putting themselves in harm's way every time they take part in a hostage transfer. What I would say is that obviously that the Hamas troops are escorting the Red Cross vehicles as close to the Israel border as they can, and I think from there, of course, they're going to be in safe hands because Israel troops, the IDF, are going to be escorting them back across into from when they get inside Israel to the hospitals, etc. So I would have thought that Hamas would have it in their agreement that they're to protect the Red Cross when the hostages are being transported from Gaza back to Israel. I think in a weird way, to answer your question, I think probably Hamas at this stage, as they're being transported, are protecting the Red Cross. But you can't guarantee it, and that's a position that the Red Cross do an amazing job, and they're putting themselves in harm's way. It only takes you know, as I said, there's different fractions of militant groups inside Gaza that are worse, that are more ideological than what Hamas are. No one can guarantee what they're going to do, so, you know, the possibilities for anything are there. And where do I stand on the issue of one hostage for 3 prisoners? Don't like it. Don't understand it. I mentioned this earlier. I don't get it. I don't get that agreement. There's been, when you look at the total number of prisoners that have been released compared to the hostages, it's so outweighed. It's so heavy towards prisoners that have been released compared to hostages. So I'm not quite sure how the Americans or Qatar or Egypt or whoever was involved in the deal, and by all accounts there were so many people involved in it. I don't know how they managed to get this deal through with that agreement. I mean, you'd have thought from an outsider looking in that it was going to be a 1-for-1 hostage for a prisoner. But this deal just seems so much weighted towards Hamas. I don't understand it. I don't like it. That's my opinion on it. But what I would say on the flip side of that is, would I take that over no hostages being released at all? Absolutely. Every day of the week. So if this was the only way, I can see why. But it is weighted really heavy in the favour of Hamas. But great question. Thank you, Justice, for that. And again, Michael Horowitz earlier today put a quite long post out. This is by itself significant. Let's put here, the hostages who will be released today are 9 Israeli women and 1 teenager, in addition to several Thai workers. So the hostages who will be released today are 9 Israeli women and 1 teenager. That was 50 minutes ago by Michael Horowitz. And then he posted to say, this is by itself significant. There are still 9 children and teenagers inside Gaza. This means that the Bibas family is not included. Unless the mother is among the 9 women, members of the Bibas family already said they were told they were not included, so they've already been told. The other question is whether the mother of Gila Rotem who was separated from her mother. Read that again. Sorry, been a long day. The other question is whether the mother of Gila Rotem, who was separated from her daughter, will be included. My bet is that if it was the case, the reports I saw would specifically say that 1 or 2 mothers are included, and it doesn't say that. That's really interesting from Michael Horowitz. So you asked earlier regarding the names. That's all we know so far. The hostages who will be released today are 9 Israeli women and 1 teenager, in addition to several Thai workers. And the Palestine Legislative Council building in central Gaza, which Israeli troops took earlier this month, has been destroyed by the IDF. And there's some satellite imagery on there as well. On Twitter, if you want to see that, search Michael A. Horowitz. Pictures are on there. I mean, Justice, what's your thoughts on it? I mean, what's your thoughts on what we've just discussed? I'll return the question to you. What's your stance on the issue of 1 hostage for 3 prisoners? Where do you stand on it? Is it a similar view to mine, or slightly different? And if I could just take 1 second while I grab a quick drink. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience. And again, that post has been sent out again. Reports many angry residents are blocking main roads in Khan Yunis and preventing the access of the Red Cross vehicles from reaching the handover point. And put out again.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, it's another video. This we'll you see this video. starting to wonder if there is a little bit of truth in this now. I mean, what you would say is it does look quite hostile. Justice, let me tell you who I am. Let me tell you first who I am. My name is Nancy. I'm from South Carolina, USA. I'm a Christian and Trump supporter. I also feel like if this hostage deal is best, I have to be okay with it. And that's a fair stance. And thank you for explaining who you are. Really appreciate that. I hope it's nice in South Carolina, USA. I can't disagree with your opinion. As long as Israel get the hostages back, I can sort of live with anything. I think that's the best way I can look at it. I think I can sort of live with anything. Would I have liked a deal that wasn't so strongly swayed towards prisoner release? Yeah. But I think this is what we've got, and I think this is, you know, let's. I think whether you agree, whether you're an Israel supporter, whether you're a Hamas supporter, everyone's got different views. I think everyone should agree that, you know, it's important that the hostages are returned. In terms of Donald Trump, of course the stream's on about it, but listen, there's many things that Donald Trump did and said that I completely agree with. Some of the things I didn't, but many of the things I did. Obviously I'm from the UK, so my views are not really that important. But I can see the pros and I can see the cons. I think what you did get with Donald Trump was a straight talker, and I think the UK politics could learn a lot from that. I think that's definitely one thing we would agree on. The UK political system is completely broke. So I envy the Americans' freedom of speech, for sure. Okay, here's one. Let me show you this. Mia Laneberg is the 17-year-old who will be released today from Gaza. There's the first picture that we've seen today. Mia Laneberg is the 17-year-old who will be released today from Gaza. And that's just been put up there again by Michael Horowitz. He's on it today. Wow. Mia Laneberg, 17-year-old who will be released today from Gaza.
دخول هذه المساعدات الغذائية والإنسانية التي ستطبق في يومها الرابع، وهو اليوم الأخير للنار بين الحصار الفلسطينية والجيش الإسرائيلي برعاية مصرية وقطرية. لكن اليوم هو اليوم الأكثر تدفقا لهذه المساعدات، حيث دخل ما يقارب 300 شاحنة محملة بالمساعدات الغذائية وأيضا الطبية، إضافة إلى 4 شاحنات لغاز الطهي وأيضا السولار، والذي هو مخصص لصالح الأونروا، والتي تقوم بعملية إشراف كاملة هي والأمم المتحدة وبمساعدة جمعية الهلال الأحمر الفلسطيني في لتوزيع تلك المساعدات التي تصل تباعا إلى معبر رفح عبر البوابة المصرية. لكن حتى الآن ومع تدفق
One of the hostages in an interview after being released has been speaking to his aunt, and his aunt's given an interview to the French BFM. It says Hamas forced Eaton to watch the horror videos from the 7th to the 10th. Hamas terrorists would also threaten the children with their weapons when they cried. When he arrived in Gaza, he was also beaten by civilians. According to her, he was sometimes alone and sometimes with others. Breaking confirmation from I-24 News English. Israeli officials confirmed the 5th group of hostages are now in the hands of the Red Cross. Breaking news, I-24 News English. Israeli officials confirm the 5th group of hostages now in the hands of the Red Cross.
لا زالت تعمل تحديدا مشفى المعمداني ومشفى كمال عنوان في شمال قطاع غزه ومشفى العوده الذي عاد بشكل جزئي الى العمل بعد التوقف بسبب القصف وبسبب التوغل الاسرائيلي في محيط الاستقلال الانجليزي وهو يجاور المشفى الانجليزي الى شمال قطاع غزه. لكن رغم هذه المساعدات التي وصلت الى وسط مدينه غزه الا ان هناك بعض الشكاوي التي تصل من المواطنين ومن النازحين داخل المدن تحديدا منهم يتواجدوا داخل مدارس الامم المتحده والأونروا من قله وصول المساعدات اليهم، خاصه مع التوافق على او الاتفاق على ادخال تلك المساعدات.
And that's just been posted now. I-24 News English. Israeli officials confirmed the 5th group of hostages now in the hands of the Red Cross. You can see it there on the screen.
نعم يعني هناك العديد من الاماكن وايضا مكونات رئيسيه في قطاع غزه توقفت بسبب فعل الحرب. لكن
Thank you to Justice. Had Trump been in office, this attack would not have happened. Ukraine would not have happened. Most, about 70% of Americans live and support the Jews and the Holy Land. Thank you for your opinion. Thank you. But that's good news. That's good news tonight. Israeli officials confirmed the 5th group of hostages are now in the hands of the Red Cross. Someone's having a really good conversation at the Rafah border crossing in Israel at the minute. Anybody speaks Hebrew, feel free to translate for me. And obviously you mentioned earlier regarding, we've been speaking about how many prisoners have been released to how many hostages. So Israel frees 150 Palestinian prisoners under the truce, with more to come in the 2-day extension of the ceasefire. So already 150 Palestinian prisoners have been freed. It's a large number compared to the small number of hostages that Israel have got back. There's still so many hostages that are just captive still, right away across Gaza. A post from earlier today from Ynet News. After spending 52 days in Hamas captivity, Oren Yagil Yaakov returned home to see their mother in a heartwarming reunion. That's a nice photo. Yep, I think you're right. Relieve they are now safe. Exactly, exactly. And let's hope as well, because remember, a couple of the hostages have been in really bad health. There's a couple that are still in hospital. There's a lady that's in critical condition. But let's just hope that the hostages that have been released today are in good health. Of course, now they'll travel back to Israel, and they'll go to the. We've seen them over the previous couple of days with the ambulances taking the hostages to the hospitals. They get checked out before they get released back to the families. Yeah, good news. And here's another one for you.
لا ما حكيتش لو بعرف لحكيت بخافش أنا.
Oria, Yuval and Ofri Broduch met their beloved dog. The children, along with their mother Hagar, will return from Hamas captivity. Really hard to imagine, isn't it? Really hard to imagine what it is that they've gone through. And the kids as well. The kids are strong. It will stay with the kids. It'll damage the kids in many ways. The kids are resilient, strong. We'd say in the UK, stiff upper lip. Okay, here's the photo, and this is in Hebrew, but the photos are put on the screen now of the hostages that have been released today. So this is breaking news. The first photo today, day 5 of the truce. The photos of the hostages that have been released today have now been posted onto social media. And here are the photos. A little bigger for you. And they're currently with the Red Cross on the way back into Israel. Of course, they'll all be taken by ambulances to the hospital to get checked out before they're getting released back to the families. Bear with me 1 second, please. That's a good question. A good question from Justice. Who is paying for the truckloads of food, medicine, and other aid? Let's see if I can find an answer for you on that. Okay, so it looks like many countries are putting money towards this. There's a post here that was in one of the UK papers. The Foreign Secretary has announced that the UK will provide a further 30 million in humanitarian aid, which will support trusted partners, including UN agencies on the ground, to deliver life-saving aid to people in Gaza. So it looks like the money is obviously given to agencies like the UN, and then they spend it on the aid that's then given out to the people in Gaza. So I would suspect that many countries are putting money into that. And the European Commission says it will step up aid deliveries to Gaza during the agreed 4-day pause in Israel's war. So Joe Biden, of course, is sending $100 million in aid into Gaza. Scotland's First Minister Humza Yousaf also pledged a further $250,000 to support displaced people in Gaza, access food, water, shelter, and medical resources. The EU itself increased humanitarian aid to Gaza by 25 million euros. So it says here there's billions of dollars in foreign aid that's being sent to Gaza. So countries right across the world are paying for it. But good question. Yeah, I see your point. I heard it. Justice says, I heard Hamas was angry when the trucks were not going into North Gaza. It made me think maybe Israel was paying for all of it. One moment, please.
وين الزعانين؟ عند السيارة. سيارة؟ باي داليا مع السلامة. الله معك مع السلامة. مش مشكلة المهم انه شاب ضعيف يمكن زين شغله يقول اعلان مع المسلمات لا لا ايش شاب علي خليك عند نجر هاي
يلا
اطلع برا اطلع برا اطلع برا اطلع برا 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 اطلع برا 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 اه برا لا لا تروح اطلع دخل هناك يا زلمه ارفع ارفع ودي ودي ودي
Thank you, Justice. That's a lovely message. I wish you good luck, and I will be back. No problem at all. I'll answer your questions anytime that you've got any. It's really appreciated that you send them in. So thank you for that, and make sure that you give us a like and subscribe, and then come back anytime. You're more than welcome. As I say, we cover all sorts of different things. So yeah, welcome to the community, and it's good to have you. For confirmation then that the hostages have now been handed over to the Red Cross and they're on the way back to Israel. And the photo was released not so long ago of the first photo this evening of the hostages that have now been released this evening, day number 5 of the truce. And I'll show you again just in case you didn't see it before. This is the photo of the hostages. Names are in Arabic. These are the photos of the hostages that are returning to Israel this evening. We're not going to worry about changing the strap at the top left. The camera keeps changing from being the Opa prison, which is what you're seeing at the minute, to the Rafah crossing at the minute. Of course, it's the prison. Every time I change the strap, in fact, we'll change it once more. How's that? We'll change it once more. And see how long until we have to change it again.
אנחנו נסדר לך, נעשה אלכסון.
There we go, all changed. We'll need it to change it again soon, I promise you. Seems that every 2 minutes it switches feeds, so we'll see. But I like to be accurate. I've spelled that wrong saying accurate. I think it's 2 F's in O for prison, but let me check. Is it 1 F or 2? 1. Let me show you where O for prison's located.
שלא מפריע לנו, עמוד לא מפריע לנו, זה מפריע, עמוד מפריע לנו. אנחנו עשינו ככה.
רוצה לסדר את הפריים שנייה?
אולי להוציא את הרגל הזו גם? לא, תוציא אותה מחוץ לגדר.
There's a picture of where the Opa prison is located.
נלך לצד שני? לא, אתה יכול להישאר פה. אם אין טפטוף אז נלך. בוא נלך, אפשר. מה שאתם רוצים? יהיה טפטוף, תחזרו לגזית. זהו, סבבה. עלה לדיווח. סבבה.
Just in the distance between the prison and Gaza, if it will show us that. What we're going to do.
יש לך את ה... כן?
זה... זה... הלאה. זה חבילה אחת.
Well, there we go, 44.89 miles, 72.24 kilometers from Opa prison. Opa prison, let me get my camera so you can see. There you go, you can see that better now. So from Opa prison to, we've gone north of Gaza, 72.24 kilometers, 44.89 miles, so what's that, just over an hour in travel distance. If you are watching the stream tonight, make sure that you like and share it. Any questions that you've got, feel free to send them in. Any thoughts that you've got on confirmation now, we've got day number 5 of the truce, that the hostages are now heading back to Israel. They're now in the hands of the Red Cross. It's around about an hour journey back from Gaza into where they're going to be heading. But this is usually the lull at the minute. This is the time where things are generally really quiet, which you can see at the minute is at Opa prison. We've been seeing shots of the Rafah crossing as well. But again, this prison shot tends to be really quiet. Occasionally we'll see a bus pull up, occasionally we'll see some armed police outside. At the minute, there's not a great deal to show. So 3 of the women released today have husbands or partners that are still inside Gaza. That's a post which has been put on by Michael Horowitz. 3 of the women released today have husbands or partners that are still inside Gaza.
אור איתי על קורד 4. הנה, הוא עכשיו מתחבר.
And the ages of the hostages that released yesterday, I believe this was yesterday, 13, 16, 12, 16, 3, 3, 34, 11, 18, 53 and 12. Some of them are so young, aren't they? So young to be put through what they've been through over the past, how many weeks? Tamar Metzger, 78, is being released today after 52 days in Hamas captivity in Gaza. This is a photo of the lady that's been released. That is a lady that has been in captivity and is being released today. She's on the way back to Israel now by the Red Cross. Story here, this is confirmed. Hostage Mia Lindberg, 17, was just passed to the Red Cross with her dog, kidnapped and survived together. Wow. The update goes on to say Mia's mother and aunts are being released as well. The fates of her 2 abducted uncles are unknown. But there's a picture there of Mia Lundberg, 17-year-old. First of today's hostages to be identified with her dog. See that photo.
לדעתי בין פריצה לפריצה אנחנו קופצים לאוטו להסתגל. לא, אתה תלך, אני... מה, אתה יכול לשים להם פריים. בטלפון זה היה מה? אתה שם פריים, אתה די, כמה אפשר? אז איפה גילית בחודשיים האחרונים? בעיקר דרום איתו? אתה בהגדרה מהשלם הבנו. סלעה כולם. זה רטוב ממש, קצת יותר גדול. עם זווית, ננסה לעשות משהו. כן, מתחיל להיות בדרך. עכשיו, כשאנחנו נגיע לשנה שכבר מצא כמו אתמול ואיך שהם מתחילים לנסוע, אנחנו מנסים את כל החשבון, נמצאים לפינה ולוקחים את זה. בסדר? איזה דזיקות? יש לו קופסה, גלגלים.
And we just await further updates as we've had it confirmed that fifth group of hostages have now been released by Hamas over to the Red Cross, and they're on the way back into Israel. There's a video on X here that says, "Hear the screams and jeers of the Gazan Muslim crowd as the hostages are released, tormenting them even in their last moments as kidnapped hostages." Play this video. Again, can't confirm this is 100% genuine, but it is out there on X.
أخذت مشهد من فوق معي.
לשחרורם של מחבלים, הם מדברים על הסכנות הגדולות ששחרור מחבלים יכול להביא עליהם. גם ההפגנה הזו התקיימה כאן, היא פוזרה לפני שעה קלה, אבל אלו הדברים כרגע, המתנה לפעימה הרביעית של שחרור המחבלים כאן בכלא.
Main picture that's doing the rounds tonight, of course, is the picture of the young lady who's been captive in Gaza. She got kidnapped with a dog, and she's going back home with the dog as well. President Biden 4 hours ago today put another tweet out. Simply said, "We will not stop working until we bring the hostages being held by Hamas home." As the stream just switches back to the Rafah crossing. And the update from the IDF statement, update said a short while ago Red Cross representatives transferred the 12 hostages to Egypt. The released hostages convoy is currently making its way through Egypt to the meeting point with our soldiers at Kerem Shalom. And another photo. A Red Cross vehicle carrying newly released hostages drives towards the Rafah border point with Egypt in the southern Gaza Strip on Tuesday. There's been some criticism actually of the Red Cross not having blacked out windows on the vehicles. I'm not particularly sure they get the chance to pick. A Red Cross vehicle carrying newly released hostages drives towards the Rafah border point with Egypt in the southern Gaza Strip on Tuesday. And Timothy McBride has put a tweet out. CIA director arrives in Qatar for talks on hostage releases, from the New York Times about 5 minutes ago. As you can see on the Rafah border crossing, more aid trucks, which I presume is aid truck. Difficult to see, it's that dark now, but they're passing through the Rafah crossing now. But many people, you know, thought that the truce wouldn't hold up. They thought when the deal was made that it'd be quickly broken. I thought that. I didn't think it would last. The main reason, actually, not so much Hamas and Israel, but because there is so many more fraction groups in Gaza. And I didn't think they would be able to hold fire. But so far, it looks as though everyone has. There was reports today, actually, that suggested that some soldiers were injured and that there was some shots fired earlier today. I think the claims were that it was one of the splinter groups, the fraction groups, that wasn't aware of the truce had been extended. I find that hard to believe, but that's what they said. Okay, look at this. Israeli's PM's office says 12 freed hostages now back in Israel. That is as of 7:02 p.m. UK time. The Israeli Prime Minister's office has released a statement saying the 12 hostages, 10 Israeli citizens and 2 Thais, are now back in Israeli territory. I'll show you this because it's got the names and their ages on as well. The families were informed by the appointed officials that they were back in Israel in a statement. It said in a statement, it named the 10 Israelis as Tamar Metzger, age 78. We saw a photo of her earlier. Ditsa Heyman, 84 years old. Norlin Babdia. One moment. Thank you for your patience there. So yeah, we'll read that again. The Israeli Prime Minister's office has released a statement saying the 12 hostages, 10 Israeli citizens and 2 Thais are now back in Israeli territory. The families were informed by the appointed officials that they were back in Israel, and it said in a statement, it named the 10 Israelis are Tamzar Metzger, age 78, Ditsa Hyman, 84, Norlin Babdia, 60 years old, Ada Sagi, 75, Ophelia Edith Reutman, 77, Ryman Kirsch, 36, Meral Tal, 53, the Laneberg family, Gabriella Laneberg, 59, Mia Laneberg, 17, and of course the little dog, but I don't know how old the dog is, and Clara Marmon, 63 years old.
خلاص لا بدي لا تحكي معي ولا احكي معك في اي موضوع اخر لا ما فيش دعوه بدي اعمل حالك بدي اقول لك يقعد لحالك انا ماليش علاقه ماليش علاقه انا روح قبل حالك معي قال لي بدي رقم هذا لا قلنا فقط خلاص ما تقول عبي له خلاص انا كيف عبي له ما رميتش حد هو طلب رقم هذا الشارع انت عارف اللي بده بنزين والله ما انت عارف والله ما انت عارف قال لي بيجي لك عرفه صوف تعرف هاي ايش
Excuse me. Okay, we'll give it another 5 minutes. Now we've got the confirmation of the hostages that have been returned, and we also know that they're back in Israel. Things tend to die down now. There's not really a great deal that happens once we get the news. The most important part of the day is to confirm, of course, that the hostages have been released. Well, first of all, that Israel have the list. Secondly, the hostages are being released, and thirdly, that they're back in Israel. We've confirmed all that. We know that. So hopefully. Generally what happens now is the night really starts to slow down. So we'll do a quick check to make sure that we're not missing anything else.
Hello? Hello? مكانك خليك كمان شوية بس بديك السماعة عشان اسمعك هيك منيح بسم الله 1 2 3 4 5.
It looks as though we're up to date. So for now I'm going to leave you with this. We'll leave the camera streaming for another half an hour or so in case anything develops. We'll make sure that the hostages arrive at the hospitals to get themselves checked out. If anything else breaks inside the next half an hour, of course, I'll bring you the news. Feel free to continue watching the stream. Make sure that you like and share, and that way the people get to find us as well. Without your help, we can't grow the channel, and we can't do what we've done today. We still have a fantastic chat with many of you. So thank you for watching. And let's hope tomorrow is seemingly as straightforward as today's been in terms of the hostage releases. And hopefully nothing happens in the meantime. Keep watching, and if anything breaks, I'll just be here so I can jump back on and bring you the news.
عجلت في حصيد شحنات حتى الآن شيء؟ في حصيد شحنات؟ لا في حصيد كانت الصبح عن امبارح. وين الديار؟ طلعت هيني كل شيء تمام، كل شيء تمام يا حبيبي. ايه سامع سامعك يا عيني سامع. ايه بدر عندك؟ حبيبي يا بشار الله يسعدك. فكرت بدر عندك؟ حبيب قلبي سلم عليه وربنا يحفظك يا اخوي بشار ودعواتكم لنا يا حبيبي. سلم عليه وربنا يحفظك. ايش مش سامع؟ سلم عليه وربنا يحفظك. عرس
اليوم هو وهذا بالفعل التحديث الذي حدث خلال الايام الثلاثه الماضيه. الانتظار كان ينص على على انزال 210 شاحنات محمله بالمواد الانسانيه والاغاثيه وايضا الغذائيه فيها مواد التي تحمل الوقود وايضا غاز الطهي. لكن خلال الايام الماضيه وصلنا دخول ما يقارب من 150 شاحنه الى 185 شاحنه، وكان يعني تسجل في الشاحنات على منطقه الجانب المصري، لان الجيش الاسرائيلي يقوم بعمليه تفكيك دقيقه لهذه الشاحنات، وهذا حال دون وجودها في يومنا المخصص. لكن اليوم هناك عمليات تدخل لهذه الشاحنات، تتحدث عن قرابه 300 شاحنه وصلت الى الجانب الانجليزي مع الشاحنات التي كانت تتوقف على الارض المخصصه لجوار المعبر، وهذه الشاحنات انطلقت قبل نصف ساعه كمان الى شمال ومدينه غزه. نتحدث عن اكثر
لا ما في مجموعة مراسلين شغالين بيحكوا كل حد طالع لايف.
وهو الشارع الذي تفرض اسرائيل سيطره عسكريه عليه وتمنع
لا فيش محشرات.
عوده اسرائيل الشرقيه كمان غزه فيما تسمح من قرب شمال ومدينه غزه قبل قليل رافقت سيارات وانطلقت الى المناطق اي واحد قبل قليل وهي في يومها الرابع لان عند الفلسطينيين منع القافله في اليوم الاول وهذا بناء على فعل هناك عمليه تحذير للافراج عن الاسرى في اليوم الثاني والثالث بسبب يعني منع اسرائيل المساعدات الغذائيه الى المناطق الشماليه ومشدده وكذلك بسبب التحريق الذي كان للطائرات المسيره في خان يونس ورفح جنوب قطاع غزه، لكن التحقيقات ما زالت حتى الان تنقل هذه الحموله الى جنوب قطاع غزه.
يلا انت جاهز تعمل ميكس ولا نزل
نعم، يعني هنا حالة من الترقب الحذر حتى هذه اللحظة، والأنظار تتجه نحو إتمام هذه الصفقة عبر هذه البوابة التي تعتبر البوابة الرئيسة لمعظم الصفقات أو الدفعات التي كانت ضمن هذه الصفقة. حتى اللحظة لا تفاصيل واضحة ما إذا كان هؤلاء سيطلقوا من شمالي قطاع غزة أم من المنطقة الجنوبية، لكن الأيام الثلاث الماضية كانت تشير بشكل واضح إلى أن جزءا على الأقل من هؤلاء كان يطلق من المنطقة الجنوبية من قطاع غزة عبر اللجنة الدولية للصليب الأحمر. الترجيحات بأنه ربما في تمام الساعة 9 أو 10 على بعض التقدير سيصل هؤلاء إلى معبر رفح البر وفق معلومات وصلت لنا قبل قليل فيما يخص هذه الجزئية. عموما هنا الأنظار وأيضا وسائل الإعلام تنتظر أن يصل هؤلاء كما جرت العادة في تمام ربما الساعة 9 أو 10. بالأمس كان قرابة الساعة 7:30 وقد وصل. لم أسمع السؤال جيدا. نعم هذا صحيح. تمديد وقت إطلاق النار يومين إضافيين سيشكل بكل تأكيد متنفسا لسكان قطاع غزة ويضيف مزيدا من السلع التي ستدخل والبضائع التي تأتي عبر شاحنات المساعدات إلى قطاع غزة. حركة حماس في بيانها قالت بأن الاتفاق هو سيكون نفس الآلية، بمعنى نحو 200 شاحنة ستعبر يوم غد عبر معبر رفح البري، كذلك كميات الوقود وغاز الطهي تحديدا ستعبر وفق الكميات السابقة، وهذا من شأنه أن يخفف من حدة الأزمة الإنسانية الخانقة التي تضرب قطاع غزة بما فيه المنطقة الجنوبية. وبالتالي هذه الكميات التي ستعبر إلى القطاع عبر معبر رفح البري هي تشكيل نوع من التخفيف من الأزمة الإنسانية الخانقة. الأونروا في قطاع غزة قالت بأنها بحاجة إلى 200 شاحنة على مدار شهرين كاملين حتى يتم تجاوز هذه الأزمة. المعبر فعليا ونحن نتحدث معكم تعمل الشاحنات على نقل البضائع من الجانب المصري إلى الجانب الفلسطيني، والعمل دؤوب وهناك تكثيف في إدخال الشاحنات، وهذا ما لاحظناه خلال الأيام الثلاث الماضية. مع تمديد وقت إطلاق النار بكل تأكيد هذا سيتيح إدخال كميات إضافية من المساعدات.
ليه؟ ظبط المفتاح في المكان هون لقدام شوي ورجع لقدام.
هذا الشحن خلص
وين ابو الساهل؟ ايش اخبارك؟ والله ابو الساهل يا ابراهيم بيقول لك اصبر حط فيش بحط قاعد هو بس لا
خلص لما نحط نكست.
كيف وضعك يا أستاذ؟ طمنا عليك كيف؟ الحمد لله إنه وجد حاجة جنب أجرك. ربنا يوفقك فيك إن شاء الله رب العالمين. كلهم يحسنوا. الله يسامحك حبيبي. يلا شهر
المرة في يوم بقول لك يلا سيب لك المرة ولا بكره في يعني والله يفرح الساعة الثانية
البرامج. خلاص هاي كمان
من قدام شنو الامور دكتور؟
شيل الدكتور ما ظلش لا دكتور ولا شو ولا حصل.
بلاش 70 ممكن تصير مش ممكن كمان سيجي بتصير القصه هاي ممكن ومش ممكن. ممكن لو لقينا حدا مع الشرطه بالذات بيمشي الحال. الشرطه ما لقينا شرطه نعرفه تغلب شويه القصه. صح المحطه بالنسبه له يقول لك اوكي بس انا ليش قبل مين لانه انا بعرف 10,000 واحد صاحبي زي ما الشعب. خلينا على التليفون بكره وربنا حبيبي.
شايف الجو صافي. مش هم يا زلمة. شي. 7:35. بدأ. سلم. سلم. ايه مش معروف، بس قالوا هاي كانت تسليم للسرير. ماشي خالد.
الجانب المصري، لكن في هذه الساعات وبعد إعلان كتائب القسام أنها سلمت الصليب الأحمر الأسرى الإسرائيليين الموجودين لديهم، من المتوقع وصولهم في خلال الدقائق أو اللحظات القادمة، خاصة وأن هذه العربات ستمر من هنا من بوابة معبر رفح البري. هذه الصورة، هذه هي البوابة التي من المتوقع وصول الأسرى الإسرائيليين من خلال الصليب الأحمر الذي سينقلهم إلى الجانب المصري، والذي يبدأ بالتحضيرات الفعلية لعملية التسليم، خاصة وأن يتزامن عملية التسليم إطفاء الأنوار في هذا المعبر. أطفئت الأنوار قبل قليل، وهذا مؤشر إلى احتمالية الوصول إلى الأسرى خلال الدقائق أو الساعات القادمة. ما يحدث في معبر رفح حتى الآن هو تدفق المزيد من المساعدات إلى قطاع غزة، وهي الأكثر منذ الهجوم المؤخر بين إسرائيل وحماس، لكن كان هناك تحذير لبعض الناس الفصائل مطالبة بإدخال نحو 230 وهذا ما تم الاتفاق عليه. لكن الأيام الماضية دخل منها والتحقيق وهناك بسبب التخطيط الدقيق الذي تخضع إليه هذه المعبر الأرضي، وهو المعبر الإسرائيلي الذي يربط الحدود المصرية مع إسرائيل، وبالتالي تمر هذه الشركات ضغط على التفتيش طويل ودقيق حتى على صحيح الأفراد الأمريكية يمر عبر هذا المعبر، وبعد ذلك يسمح لهم بالدخول إلى الجانب الإسرائيلي. الآن ربما لو فتحت في الكاميرا أن نصور ونسجل هذه اللحظات التي يتم أو تتم الاستعدادات هنا على بوابة المطار الدولي بجنوب قطاع غزة هؤلاء الأسرى بعد قليل إلى هذه المناطق وصل الآن بينما هو أخرج العديد من المدنيين أو الأسلام الفلسطينية هنا في وسط في رفح تم يعني وجههم أو رفضهم أن هذا العبر هو الضابط المشترك الجديد بين قطاع غزة وإسرائيل الذي اخترع هذا الاتفاق وأيضا يشرف عليه على الأرض بينما نشاهد بين الفتنة والكسرة حركة واستمرار مع الإقرار التي الثورات الفلسطينية التي كما تحدثت لربما في الدقائق القليلة تصل هذه المركبات إلى هذه البوابة ونحن ننتظرها سنقوم بتوثيق اللحظات التي تصل إلى هذه المركبة.
ايش في ماله؟ ده تراكتورات هذول ولا ايه؟ إذا شفت يعني شوية. يلا ماشي عدوا بصر. ويني؟ هيني. سلامة وين انت؟ اطلع. هيني هيني. اجيك. تعالوا. كيف انت بتحكي؟ اسمع. هذا دورة. ايوه هذه هاتها ممتازة. ليه زي ما هي نفردها
لازم نفتحها من تحت.
الساعة
ايه؟ في معانا جلد احنا؟
لا جلد شبك.
هاي هذا للموتور دبرنا.
فيش هات لي حبل. هات لي شايف قد حطيت هذا اي كيف يلا شيل أول مش أصل النار بنطلع السباحين بس هات لنا حاجة لهاي كرتون اجي
معي. يا محمد حبيبي يا محمد. والله الحمد لله. يا محمد الحمد لله والله تمام. لا والله في المعمر. ايش؟
ان شاء الله تكون هذه بس غيمة وماشية، نتبهدلنا من المطر.
شعبك على الكافر يرجعوها فيها للها أجل. أنا عارف إن فيها شعب غزة